Roadman, what's up? Happy New Year, buddy. Trying to figure out how to play over some chord changes I was messing around with. How's the new year treating you, man? I have knocked myself out of tune already. Jeez. Hey, Steve. Happy New Year, buddy. All right, the theme today, I actually have something to talk about, is what is your favorite guitar myth? It could be something you've heard people say that you know is not true. Or it could be, if you're like me, you've got some you kind of superstitiously believe yourself, even though you rationally know they may not be true. So, like, for instance, I went to the gear page and typed in myth. One of the first threads I saw, it was probably an old thread, was, is there such thing as a pro level guitar? Rig guitars are faster. Are they not? And I thought about, okay, is there such thing as a pro level guitar? That's can kind of get into a little bit of elitism. Oh, your guitar this brand or that brand. There's some awesome players that play guitars you wouldn't necessarily think of as, like Jack Pearson, Nashville great. He plays a Squire Bullet. There you go. If a pro's playing it, it's a pro guitar. Or you could go to the extreme, the outlier, Willie Nelson's Trigger. The thing had a hole in it. What is a pro player? Well, from where I sit, I would consider yourself a pro player. Definitely. Anybody who makes some level of their income doing music. It doesn't even, whether it's live music or producing music from their house, or I think that's a pro. Whereas me, I'm just a guy that plays in his bedroom. Like Steve, I know you're good at finding those diamonds in the rough as far as the real affordable guitars, and you gig those things, and that right there shows that it doesn't matter what it says on the headstock. A good guitar is a good guitar. But red guitars should be faster, I think scientifically. I don't want to start going into the ones I believe too quick. But yeah, man, I think a pro is a guy that does it for income at some level. Here's one that's not necessarily shoot. I'm humbled by that comment. Thank you. I tell you, I can make some pro level mistakes sometimes. I think I'm finally getting to the point where if I listen to my own stuff, which I cringe every time I do, where I'm trying to really sound like cool, hip, and outside, most of that stuff is not as pleasant to listen to as if I just use good timing and phrasing and play more melodically and diatonically. Shocker. You'd think I'd know that after 30 years, but so here's one that's not necessarily a guitar myth, definitely a music myth, is all you need is one hit song and you're rich. That is unfortunately more of a myth now than it ever was. Let's see. See if I can find another funny one. Nah, that's too obscure. One that I kind of buy into is, since I'm kind of a primarily a Strat player, we've all got our favorites, and I see what you did there. The old double entendre. I've been hit too. Way more times than I needed to. Well, like, I remember this has been in the past couple years. I saw. I'm not gonna bash the brand because it's an awesome brand, and it's a brand that makes really good, super boutique strats, right? You know, I've been seeing them in magazines since I was a kid. I never played one, never really seen one. And there happened to be one in a music store I just popped in. It was used, in good shape. And if I were to order a Strat from that brand right then, it was had been very similar to that guitar. And they had it priced right. It wasn't, it wasn't cheap because of what it was, but it was priced right. I get it down and I play it. I'm like, it's just a Strat. I know it says this on the headstock. And then I was like, I don't even like it near as much as my favorite Strat at home. And I just put it back and kind of made a mental note. And that kind of led to a myth I've heard. I didn't originate it, but I do somewhat buy into it, whether it's true or not. If you think about it, all Strats and, somewhat Telecasters too, really, when you add the bolt-on neck configuration, there's some truth to it. But they're all parts casters, if you think about it from a broad sense. They're all whatever comes together by marrying a certain neck to a certain body, and then there's a billion other variables, and we can get way down in the weeds with all those variables. And it's everything affects tone, but to what degree and how much you're good enough to notice, that's really the biggest factor. But if they're all parts casters, whether it's a $5,000, $6,000 Tyler or a Mexican Stratocaster, it comes down to that marriage of the parts. Now, there's going to be fit and finish things that are going to be way more consistent, and things that are associated with particular brands. Yeah, I don't expect a Mexican Strat to have all of the cool stuff and the quality control that a Tyler that costs thousands of dollars has. But you can find a Mexican Strat. If you play 10 of them, you're going to find one that's the best. And what is it that makes that one the best? And I guess that extends past bolt-on guitars. If you have 10 brand new Les Pauls straight from the factory, yeah, Yeah, especially the boutique guitars that are just revisiting, you know, the classics, right? They can make them really nice and churn out a level of quality that you may not be able to get otherwise. But just because something's from the Fender Custom Shop or, you know, a Gibson Murphy Labs, it doesn't mean it's going to be that number one. Your number one might be a Les Paul Studio because it's just a banger from whatever combination it has going on of all those variables. So yeah, all Strats are parts casters. Myth. But is it true? You be the judge. There's some funny ones. Oh, myth. The audience cares about your rig. We know that's not true. They don't care at all. It's more about what makes you happy. Yeah. Of course, this is inspired by oh, Ben, thanks, man. I'm actually got I'm running through the Synergy system with the Bogner Ecstasy module on the Blue channel. So it's a tube preamp. And I got just a little delay in the effects loop. But I've really been enjoying this here lately. So it's tubes. That'd be a good, whether it's a myth or not to discuss. Does it have to be tubes to sound good? Well, no. But I keep coming back to them, man. I keep coming back to the tube configurations. That's like I got my neck pickup volume rolled off. If I switch to the bridge pickup, man, I totally agree, man. It really comes down to what feels best to me, and you know the tones there, but it's kind of like there is when I really think about it, I'm sure you can get a Quad Cortex, Helix, Axe-Fx, you know, even some of the cheaper stuff, and sound great, right? There's no doubt in my mind. But there is a reason that we are using this 1930s technology still, or whatever decade it originated in. There's got to be. It's not just guitar players being stubborn and superstitious. What's up, Hank? Well, Cup of Noodle, you know, he's not in the conversation with the promoters right now, so we'll have to see if he gets that push. Yeah, let's see. So I don't know. Tubes definitely feel different. I think we can all agree. You don't have to have them to sound good. But do you have to have them to be happy? That's very individual. And in my situation, I'm playing in my room, so it's not that big of a deal to have tubes. But if I was having to carry them around and travel, you know, that may cause me to reevaluate. Doggone it. Oh, it's the low, it's the high. No, I just can't hear. I agree, Ben. That's when it comes down to what you want to hear and feel when you play, that experience can, you know, it is a part of how you play and what you play and how good you play, and getting it as favorable as possible is definitely gonna help you play your best. Like with my little playing direct thing, I was using my kind of practice solid state rig for a while, and it sounds fine, you know, especially for practice. And it's got, you know, a speaker emulated out, and I kind of use it as a pedal platform, so a lot of flexibility there. But when I started using this, which I've had for a while, I just never really used it in this capacity. I was like, man, that just sounds way better. It just does. Whether it's tubes or what. That's the red channel. And I like it also because it's there's separate EQs for the channels, so you can dial that for, you know, what I play. Like the blue channel gets crunchy enough. I'm not playing Master of Puppets or anything, so. That's the blue channel on the pickup, or bridge pickup, with the volume all the way up. That's plenty of crunch for me, for what I do. And I can kind of reserve the red channel and EQ it, where it'll be super thick. Yeah, I wouldn't want to use that for my Slayer tribute gig, but it works for me. Let me find a good myth. Let's see. Rap isn't music. I don't listen to rap. My son does. We've discussed that. And he's shown me some stuff I definitely consider to have more artistic value than other stuff. But I do find it regrettable you can be a famous millionaire. Well, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't hate on somebody that takes advantage of the way the world works. But you've got guys that are masters. Think of your guys that are the highest level jazz players. Not filling arenas, and then you've got a guy that can rap that may not be able to play a C on a piano or a E on a guitar, but that music makes that person millions of dollars. Strange world. But don't hate the player, hate the game, right? My youngest brother listens to certain hip hop artists too, and yeah, I can appreciate the difference between and I could even dig some hip hop influence in other music. Oh, thank you, Ezekiel. It's actually a early 80s Yamaha. When I got it, I've had it for a while now, but it was, from the early 80s, got it used. And I saw it, and I saw Yamaha, and I thought, man, that's made in Japan. And I pulled it off, and it's not. Apparently, during this time, Yamaha's higher-end models were made in Japan. And this one's like a SA... What does it say? SA 800. So it's a lower, like, I think if you get to 1,000 and 2,000 and all that, they're... So this one's no bling or anything like that. And it's made in Taiwan. I don't know if they had them made and assembled in Japan or what, but so I was like, I'm not gonna buy it. It's not made in Japan. And I played it, and it came home with me. It is just a really easy playing, great sounding guitar, and I don't know if the setup or whatever, but it plays great, man. And whoever had it, there's no telling if it was one guy or 20 guys. There is a Seymour Duncan in the neck, and I have no idea what model, and I don't know what's in the bridge. It could be the original pickup, may not be. But I appreciate the compliment on how it sounds. It's more of the guitar than me, I promise. Some of those old Yamaha is a sleeper brand. It really is. We had a Yamaha acoustic at the house growing up, and it was just a killer guitar. And it definitely wasn't a super high end price wise, but I've kind of been a Yamaha fan ever since then. My dad had I don't know if it was a 24 or 23, but it was a fairly new ES335 that he bought brand new, and he just traded it in a couple weeks ago. He was like, it's a great guitar, but it's not oh man, that's awesome. Those Yamaha SGs are really cool. It's the old double cutaway. You don't see them a lot, but they are really cool. And I've always wanted to try a Revstar. What's that guy, Mateus, that uses one? I mean, they gotta be pretty dang good. Gold tops with P90s. Boy, I bet that SG gold top with P90 is cool. See, got other Yamaha lovers. That's cool. That's a good myth, or maybe not myth. Made in Japan versus made in the U.S. I think there was a time, especially with fenders, so the Revstar standard is at the import. I bet it's probably, it being Yamaha, their quality control so good. I bet it's as good as anything. Supposedly, when it in the 80s, there was a time when made in Japan fenders were probably better and cheaper than what the American standards of the day were, supposedly. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'd play a made in Japan Strat anytime. And the made in Japan stuff, it's not as super cheap as it was at one time. Oh, okay, cool. I knew there was a made in Japan Revstar and an import. I didn't realize they had 3 different levels of them. I bet they're all great. When you think about what a kid can be playing for like $250 as a first guitar compared to all of us when we started, if you got a $200 guitar, it was, unplayable. And now you can get some that, well, that makes sense. Yep, that Court Factory, they pretty much everything that comes out of the Court Factory, which I don't know if there's a couple of them, if they have like one in Korea and one in Indonesia. I have trouble keeping track, but I'm wanting to say, wasn't that the factory that was the first that was making the Paul Reed Smith SCs? Don't quote me on that because I may be wrong, but that's one you can pretty much trust is gonna be a great guitar. You can say great for the money or bang for the buck, but a good guitar is a good guitar. I wouldn't stick my nose up at playing any of them. Yeah, it's hard to justify me personally getting a super duper expensive boutique guitar when, I'm not saying they're not better, but the law of diminishing returns and all, it's once you get to a certain point, one, you're paying for consistency in quality, which some of these brands with their imports have that figured out. They're not getting poor quality, and on the other And, you know, how good am I? Where it's going to change whether I'm playing a $5,000 guitar or a $500 guitar. It's not going to make a difference for me. Let's see. I'm looking at a myth that I'm not sure is a myth. I got some posts pulled up. So you turned loose of wanting the vintage thing. Yeah, that kind of general discussion that has been kicking around the guitar internets here lately is a lot of what made me gave me the idea to talk about myths. And I'm not saying vintage guitars being awesome is a myth, because I've not played one. I've not played a 59 Burst or a early 60s Strat, or I can bet I'm not good enough to tell the difference. Might have to intonate this bad boy later on after this. So this guy is saying that the bridge is not a ground on the electric guitar. Yeah, Ben, that's kind of what I think is probably the truth of the matter is guitars made in the 50s and 60s are no different than guitars made now. Some are going to be bangers. They're all a sum of their parts. And, we're talking about wood and different pieces of wood coming together to, make something. And there's going to be variances. So Stan says the biggest difference is the quality of the metal. I hadn't ever heard that or thought about it. So I guess stuff like a bridge and tuning pegs and stuff like that. That is an interesting point. Me being a Strat guy, I don't know that I can say with 100% certainty it makes a difference, but I do like to have a nice solid metal block as being part of the bridge. It makes me feel better. Yeah, and the workers were true craftsmen that I've heard the term 50s wiring with Les Pauls, and I've looked into it a little bit. And they did use the big cloth wire, didn't they, back in the guitars? So you could see where, I mean, it would, I think it'd be silly to say that doesn't make a difference, because, you know, they're different wires, probably a bigger gauge, and probably made out of different material. I guess where people get hung up is how big of a difference, right? Stan, do you got any vintage stuff? Hell, most of us that are talking about it have never played one. That's the oldest guitar I have is a 73 SG. It's a Norlin era, you know. But man, I grew up playing that guitar, and all I knew is I had a Gibson SG, and it was awesome. Very little copper. Don't have one, but wouldn't hesitate at the chance to get one. I know sometimes the whole import thing, you know, a lot of it's going to come down to the quality control of the company that's sponsoring, or however you want to call it, the imports. Because, you know, if I'm making widgets and I send my widget making design to China, if they can get away with making them with cheaper crap than I've specified, they're going to do it. I think that's pretty well known in manufacturing, so it's incumbent upon the company. I got to inspect my widgets and make sure they're making them to my spec. It's funny that we're talking about this, but I was talking to my brother-in-law, and his father-in-law, so his wife's dad, is a engineer. I'm not going to say what company or what industry, but he's an engineer that works for a big company, and not guitar or anything like that, not anything music related, but it is relevant to the discussion. And I got you, man. Hey, having the knowledge and the deep lore, you know, you don't have to have one to know one. Hey, so that's a good example. You're able to take a guitar that doesn't have one of the super duper names on the headstock and do some things that, from your knowledge, are improvements in tone, and get it pretty dang close, or if not better, then yeah, that's cool stuff. But what my brother-in-law told me, that now it sounds like, oh, a friend of a friend. But basically, make a long story short, they were sending materials of a certain spec to have it made in China, their product. And they were spot testing the materials that were going out to market, and they were not using what was being shipped to them. They were using whatever crap, that cost-cutting crap, and who knows what they were using the good stuff for, you know. So I think that is something that can happen in all instances of sourcing out any kind of a product. You've got to know you've got to know who you're sourcing it out to is doing it up to your specifications. And trust is not going to do it. A handshake ain't going to get you there. That's cool, man. I like hearing you got a Epiphone Les Paul that you made into a good banger. You know, I think it was on Phil McKnight's channel. I don't know if it was a clip from his stream or a video specifically, but I saw a headline or title of a video that was referencing Fender basically making Ovation obsolete, and I hadn't watched the video yet, so that makes sense. So they basically downgraded every Ovation. That kind of sucks. Cause I do remember when Ovations were like this hot new thing with a very modern design and considered very high quality. So you want me to break out the Brutals, eh? You know, the sad thing is, when I grew up, I did play metal. I was a big alternate picker, and I switched to playing with my fingers over a decade ago. And that is one things I can't do with my fingers is play metal. So yeah, you got yours when they were awesome. Professor G, I got a old metalhead question for you. I know it's the cool kids now do play in drop tunings, but some of the heaviest music made to me was in standard tuning, or maybe even E flat or something like that. So does it have to be drop super brutal to be heavy. Yeah, I never had a. I've played Ovations back in the day. My brother was more of an acoustic player than I was, but we never had one. I was kind of more the electric guy, and he was kind of the acoustic guy. So yeah, I'm gonna say that's a guitar myth, that you got to be down tuned to be heavy. Not, I'm not doing anything heavy. If my 19-year-old self heard my 40-something-year-old self playing, I would probably think I was pretty lame. That says a lot. And there was probably something inherent about that guitar before you made all the electrical changes and stuff, that you knew it was just a good playing guitar that really clicked with you. And it didn't matter, made in wherever, it didn't matter what was on the headstock. Whatever amalgamation of parts that, the wood or whatever, you knew, hey, this guitar is a great guitar, has potential to be even better. And shoot, if it's when you play most out of 12, that says it all right there. But yeah, since I'm a old thrash guy, I think some of the heaviest music ever made was in standard tuning. Myth or the truth? What kind of music do you like, Stan? But you're right, there are an infinite almost amount of good players on YouTube. YouTube is actually what made me realize that I sucked at guitar. And, as a younger guy, I could play, I could play fast. I could, because my dad played, I probably had a leg up. Mostly all rock and country. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. I grew up listening to that stuff for sure. And anyway, when I was young, I probably thought I was pretty hot stuff. Big fish in a small pond type deal. a job and all that when YouTube really started to become what it is today. And I got on YouTube and started seeing like 11-year-old kids that could walk the dog with as far as being just shredding their butts off. Way more advanced and better than I was. I was like, well, I guess you ain't nothing special there, buddy. And that's probably what reaffirmed my direction towards, trying to learn jazz and stuff like that. Maturity, too, was part of it. And I'm still trying to do it. Started trying to learn to play jazz a long time ago, and I'm still just a rock guy that tries to play jazz. Really, when it comes down to it. Yeah, I think about the same thing, man. Like, we didn't know what sweep picking was until we happened to find somebody that was doing it, I mean, yeah, we had guitar magazines and all that, but I tried to learn everything just by ear, by picking it out. I didn't care to read tab and that kind of stuff. And even if you did read like tab of sweep picking, you didn't quite get the concept. That's an interesting thought experiment. Mel Ray. Yeah. Thanks. I learned to read the sheet music of Mary Had a Little Lamb. I'm gonna go impress my friends, right? But talking about who of the 70s folks would have been guitar superstars on YouTube. That's an interesting alternate universe thought experiment. I don't know if anybody else has seen the young lady Mary Spender that plays guitar and has a really good following. Great vocalist, writes good songs, great guitar player. And, she's got a very successful, what appears to be very successful YouTube channel. And she, now, yeah, dude, Roy Clark, he could get down now. Those guys were the real deal. People that sleep on those guys and don't know about them are missing out. 'Cause I can only imagine how many people Roy Clark made pick up a guitar for the first time. I bet it's a lot. But like, I was talking about Mary Spender. She did a tour, and I think it wasn't a huge giant tour. It was, a couple months or something like that, and paid her musicians what they deserved to be paid them well. And she was very transparent as far as the finances and everything, and the tour lost money. I was like, man, that is just so disheartening, I guess. And that, seemingly she's got a huge platform of YouTube, and, she's very talented. Like, I'm not sitting around listening to her albums. But I recognize, she's a good guitar player and great artist. And she couldn't do a small tour and come out making money, man. That's a sad state. Hey, Tom says Jerry Reed too. Oh yeah. Yeah, those of us who were hitting rewind on solos over and over to try to learn them, now YouTube is like a cheat code. Because even if you just want to listen and pick out a solo, you can play it on half speed or even slower, so that makes it easier. Well, then if you just want to see a dude playing it, I'm not as familiar with Jerry as Roy Clark. Was he on the show too? Yep. I have figured out that I need to intonate this bottom string. It's not far enough off where it really bothers me. Just playing it open, but in a... Or am I bending it sharp doing that? I don't know. Maybe my ears are tricking me. Ah, okay. From Harris County. Chester Atkins. Yeah, I have heard of him for sure. OG finger picker. Yeah, and those guys, they were kind of bluegrass players, I guess was the background they came from, and they were just on acoustics, just shredding on hee-haw. Yeah, it'd be interesting to poll a certain age segment and see how many of them picked up a guitar because of those guys. I hear a lot of guys say they picked up guitar because of the Beatles or so Stan was saying he actually knows his vintage stuff pretty well. He knows a lot more about it than me. If you were to go after a vintage guitar without money and investment and all that, like just a vintage guitar you would want, would it be like a 59 burst or something else? Let's see. Looking for some funny guitar myths. The other one, I have a weird, I don't know if I'd say it's a myth, but it's kind of a guitar superstition. You know, we all have our little quirks, right? But I am really suspicious of a used guitar, especially an fairly old used guitar that's in mint condition. And the reason I feel like that, I always say, is it in mint condition just because it's the guitar, you know, granddaddy bought and stuck under his bed and it's a great guitar? Or is it in mint condition because it's a dog? And it was and it's funny, like if I'm buying a guitar that I haven't played, which that's a whole this day and age thing that you know, we deal with, finding something used on Reverb or used Guitar Center, and it's kind of a crapshoot. If it has a ding on it, I'm more likely to buy it. Part of it is that whole, well, it's been loved, it's been played, it must have something going on. And then the other part is I'm not going to feel bad for putting the first ding on it. I know that's crazy, but have to refresh my chat. It's not doing anything. Being a bad host if y'all are chatting to me and I'm not seeing it. The internet is hard. It's hard for my dinosaur technology. Let's see. Hopefully I can do this without creating an inception where y'all hear me watching myself. That could make that's like crossing the streams in Ghostbusters if we do that. You know, it could open up the time discontinuum and then we don't know what dimension we're really living in. That could be bad. So let me see if I can pull it off. Yeah, we got that. I hadn't busted out any backing tracks today because I'm kind of doing the relaxed mode stream. It being New Year's and all. Okay. There we go. All right. Bam. That song will get me copyright struck. Even though it's not the song, it's too close to a Led Zeppelin song. Even though I learned it from Mother's Finest. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we can fool with this one. Y'all let me know if my levels are on. Long backing track. I ran out of notes. Played all of them. Yeah, I think my chat stopped working for some reason. That may be YouTube trying to tell me something, you know. Sometimes if they have a AI guitar moderator, it may be trying to tell me that I've gone on long enough. Or they have a AI algorithm that identifies bad guitar playing, and I've been struck. That's alright. It is a new year. I get a reset on making clams on guitar. The high E string is just giving me fits, and it's in tune. Yep, it's the intonation. Or it could be my hearing. Yeah, my guitar myth source is a little disappointing too. I thought it would be a I thought it would be a better source. Shows you how much my prep was lacking. Yeah, I don't want to go into the ones that have been talked to death, like Tonewood and all that kind of stuff. I tend to think it all matters. It's all a sum of the parts. It's just to what degree it matters. And we already talked about earlier. Some of it is about what makes the player feel the best and play their best, And if you play better because you have a different bridge on your guitar, and whether it be something you hear or whatever the reason, who am I to tell that player that the bridge doesn't matter? Such an individual thing. Well, I was glad I was able to pop on here on New Year's Day. Normally this would be a work day, but it's a holiday. I had a little time to stream on the old YouTubes. If I was a cool guy, like I thought I was when I was young, I'd be still asleep right now from what I did last night. But since I'm an old guy, I just went to bed. And guess what? It was still 2025 when I woke up in the morning. But for anybody, I'm sorry the chat and kind of, I think I think YouTube had a hiccup or whatever. So if anybody's been talking to me and I've not responded, that would be YouTube's fault. But it was probably about time for me to get off anyway. I may very well hit another, since this was an extra. Since this was an extra streaming day, I may still try to hit one on the weekend. That's what I would like to do anyway. So I hope in this new year all of your guitar dreams come true. Except the dreams that are nightmares, because nightmares are dreams also. Now, everybody, thanks for stopping in. 2025 is going to be a good year. It's just going to be a good year for those of us who are doing our own guitar vacations when time allows. So while you're pursuing your love of guitar in whatever way that manifests, it's going to be good this year. So I'll talk to y'all soon, and thanks everybody again for popping in. We'll holler at you later.